Welcome into the DNVR Rockies Podcast, brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee. Strava CBD coffee is infused with CBD and CBG. It's going to have you feeling fantastic in the morning without those coffee jitters if you want 3 or 4 cups a day. Helps with chronic headaches, joint pains, IBS, so much more than that. Now get 25% off your first purchase when using code DNVR25 on StravaCraftCoffee.com. I'm your host, Patrick Lyons. And joining me today is a very special guest on a very special holiday because it's the second anniversary of Larry Walker's induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And when we couldn't get Larry Walker, I said, well, the next best person, if we're thinking about Hall of Fame people and Hall of Fame contributors to the Colorado Rockies franchise, I said, I got to get Julian Valentin. So here he is, folks. Julian, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, dude. I'm all fired up. The music had me bobbing my head. It's good to see your beautiful face and reconnect a little bit. And to be honest, I was trying to figure out why you randomly picked me until you said that. And now it kind of makes some sense that it's Larry's day. Although that's obviously some really big shoes to fill.
It is. And you've got the shirt to prove it. And actually, I'm a little disappointed you're not wearing the SpongeBob shirt today.
I have it upstairs in the closet, but in my little bookshelf here, this quadrant is my Baseball Hall of Famer section. So we got Larry's bobblehead in honor of that, Mariano Rivera baseball, and then a picture from Ichiro that's signed when he got his 3,000th hit at Coors. So got some cool stuff in the little bookshelf back there to remember my previous life.
There you go. Yeah, we'll get into all of that and more. Speaking of previous lives, for those who might not know the background of Julian Valentin, it's just as interesting as the Rockies days, those eras at Coors Field, because you were a very successful soccer player growing up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and sorry to hear about your Eagles not doing so well here.
Hey, we were playing with house money in the playoffs. We'll take that. Nobody expected anything, so.
That's true. Yeah, but you played for the youth national team, went to school at Wake Forest, and you won a national championship there. You've always been around athletes, and that's kind of been a common theme that you're still doing to this day. What was that like, that thing where going into your final year, you're building towards it, and you actually, reach the Mecca, you reach the promised land of that championship?
Yeah, 2007 for me was a pretty special year, and especially in Rockiesville in Colorado was also a pretty special year, although hopefully better years to come. But yeah, so I actually played in the Under-20 World Cup that same year in Canada. We made it to the quarterfinals and played against some of the best players in the world, and then went back to school, won the national championship at Wake. And it was just an incredible experience to be able to do that with, the brothers, guys who you played with day in and day out. You kind of came up together and saw each other grow up in front of your very eyes. So, it was an incredible experience, something that I remember fondly, and I'll always carry that with me.
Yeah, 2007 it was a year for a lot of championships, and there's a lot of iconic photographs in that run to Rocktober. And think of Todd Helton, we think of Matt Holliday in game 163, but you've got your own iconic photograph. For anyone who might be a little bit squeamish, you may look away. I found this photograph, and wow, there is got to be a fantastic story behind it. And just get running. What am I looking at here, Julian?
So yeah, that was there was about 8 minutes left in the national championship game. We're playing Ohio State, and we're up. We're winning. The game is kind of getting a little crazy. At one point, a ball kind of gets floated in the box, and I kind of clear it away. I actually jump to head it away, and the player from Ohio State comes in and karate kick style, just straight to the face. Obviously got the cuts there. They had to be taken off the field because obviously you can't be bleeding. And I'm sitting there on the sideline, get me in. We're trying to kill off the game and get the victory. And, literally right as the blood stopped bleeding, they put this powder in the wounds. The blood stopped, and I grabbed the trophy right there is what you see, and just started running around like crazy with my teammates. So that was the story in real time. The Colorado tie to that story is the player who kicked me was Roger Espinoza, who is from Aurora. And obviously he had an incredible career in the English Premier League, playing for Reading and Kansas City. So he actually called me a couple days later because we know a lot of mutual people in town here, and got my number and said, "Hey man, sorry for kicking you in the face." And, and Roger's a great dude, and we've kind of kept up a little bit when he comes back in town. So it was just a cool experience. I would take the plastic surgery that happened after any day to get that picture and get that trophy.
How many stitches are we talking about in a photograph like that? I would guess 100, but it's just a
So
mess.
this is one of those stories that like the real answer is probably like 15, but every time I tell the story, it becomes 30 and then 75. So let's just say I got 165 stitches because that's way cooler than saying like 15.
All right. So you're adding 15 every single year. And so that works out. Yeah. It's a
But
good.
yeah, I had legitimate plastic surgery to revise the scars. I fixed the hair over the years. I'm a lot more corporate and professional and grown up now. But and actually, shout out Jamie Franks there on the right, kind of the profile view. He's the head coach at University of Denver men's soccer, and just obviously one of my best friends and somebody that our families get together all the time. So this picture actually has a lot of Colorado ties to it these days.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned, family, because obviously you come from a big soccer family. Your brother Zarek, of course, with the Houston Dynamo. Your brother-in-law too, Tyler Kemp, is a player. So like soccer is just so massive here. Do you have a favorite club that you pull for, either in MLS or in England, like the motherland, if you will?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a club that I pull for. I'm still in that mode where I know a lot of people playing. So I want my friends and former teammates to do well and be successful. Of course, I want my brother's team to be successful. And I think some of the things that they're doing in Houston now is definitely going to help them. And I definitely love watching the Rapids. I know Robin Fraser a little bit. I know a lot of the people in that organization and what they're about. So I'm more of a fan of the game and the players and, the people that I know, as opposed to one specific club that I pull for.
Yeah, Rapids had a really great 2021. It's promising for this next year. It'll definitely be exciting. I imagine you'll be at Dick's Sporting Goods Park when the Dynamo come to town. You got to be at that game for sure.
Yep, we usually do. Although when my brother was with Portland, they played that snow game a few years ago. And I was texting with him. I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to this game. I'm just telling you right now. I'll watch from the comfort of my own house with my own White Claw on the couch, and it'll be a lot easier than bundling up in 25 layers.
Yeah, you're drafted by the LA Galaxy and you played with the Tampa Rowdies. I bring up the Rowdies in particular because, we've seen what the crowds are like in Florida for baseball, but that's not exactly the case for all professional sports in Florida. There's a very passionate community down there with Inter Miami CF, Orlando City FC, as well as the Rowdies. What are the crowds like? Why is soccer the sport that translates in Florida and not baseball so much?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think you get some of the people kind of coming in and out of Florida during, the snowbird season or that kind of thing. I think soccer just is ingrained in the youth setup there. There's a lot of really good clubs, and those teams do a nice job of connecting with the local organizations to get the kids out there and their families. So I think that's a big part of it. There's also some really just good international cities with a lot of culture and flavor. So there's a lot of things that Florida has working in their favor. And with the Rowdies specifically, that club has been around for a really long time in the old NASL days, like even before it became a USL club. And so there's a lot of tradition and history with that club. And, when I was with the Rowdies, it was their first year coming back after a hiatus. So it was a really cool experience to kind of be on that team and see the built-in excitement that there was for the organization. And being the captain of that team was a cool experience too, to kind of be out there in the face of the franchise and everything. So that's why, the Rowdies are a top-notch club, and, they play it in St. Petersburg now. But when I was there, we were at the Yankees spring training facility in Tampa there. So yeah, Florida's a good place. I don't feel like going back there, I don't think, anytime soon, but I enjoyed my time there for sure.
That humidity can definitely be a drag.
Killer.
Can you believe the growth going back to like 2007 and thinking about how MLS really first started to expand in the amount of teams right around there after that 2006 World Cup in Germany? That's when I first started getting into MLS and absolutely adoring it. And it seems like the amount of teams has nearly doubled, and it's still continuing. And the USL, the second tier, is expanding. Can you believe the amount of growth that soccer and MLS has had in this country so continuously over the last 20 years?
Yeah, short answer is I can believe it. This was always a place where soccer would thrive. It would be, there's so many great markets, so many people who play the game as a kid, and they just had never grown up with it really until this current generation that we're seeing. So now it's really in a great place. I think MLS has done a fantastic job of being strategic with their markets. They've done some really good stuff with their branding and how they're connecting with the communities, and they've grown really, really nicely over the last decade. So I look back when I was in the league and what it is now, and just the quality of the play, quality of the players, the fan bases, the investment from brands and companies that want to put their money and believe in soccer. It's been great to see. And by no means do I think that I played a part in that, but being somebody who, played for $17,000 to keep the league alive and, be a body to help my team. I'm proud of my time playing in the league, and I'm excited for the future. I think you're muted, dude. I remember my first webcast. Is this the part where I take over? What do you guys want to hear about? All right, there we go. It's just me. So what do you guys want to talk about? Let's go. Do you want to see my bookshelf? There's some cool stuff. Those are my wedding shoes right there. Are we back? I was just trying to kill time.
I like that. Yes.
There we go. All right. I was talking about these shoes I wore for my wedding. So, it's kind of cheesy, but like we redid The Office here recently, and I was like, I got to have some cool stuff in the background, and then I just, put it all together. So I didn't know that the first time I would explain it was when the host of the show would go muted, but
Are those really your wedding shoes? They're so far behind you. They look like baby shoes.
Nope. They're wedding shoes. Chuck Tees. One of my buddies was you remember Ed Hardy clothes?
I do.
One of my buddies was he was a designer for Ed Hardy. So I asked him to make me some custom shoes with it has the lyrics to Thunder Road by Bruce Springsteen, because of course, and then has a little rose on it with the wedding date and stuff. So got some customs back there.
Yeah, I guess when you know that those are bobbleheads next to it, you go, okay, no, those are normal size shoes. Yeah. It's the ratio that's throwing me off. But what isn't throwing me off is the vibe and the environment down at the DNVR bar on the corner of Colfax in York. You know that you get a bigger beer for all of our members if you do subscribe to the DNVR.com. Not only 50 cents for your first month annual membership, you do get a free t-shirt at DNVRLocker.com. Again, the bigger beer on the corner of Colfax in York. You get the members only Discord where you have direct communication with all the other members, hosts, and diehard fans like yourself. We've got awesome watch parties going on all throughout the year. Nuggets, Avs are really heating up, as well as Rams and Buffs. Make sure you're checking that out at thednvr.com. Breckenridge Brewery is that official beer that we've got on tap. They're our official seltzer. But let's show some love for the Winter Avalanche Ale. It's a classic American amber that blends pale, chocolate, and caramel malts in a well-rounded, flavorful beer. Avalanche Ale has caramel malts that lend whispers of toffee sweetness with a touch of bittering hops that gives this beer such a clean finish. It's crafted for balance, so it's a versatile and satisfying anytime beer. That's Breckenridge Brewery's Avalanche Ale. And yeah, the holidays are over. You want to turn over a new leaf, but you might still be a little bit beat up, a little bit tired. That's why Lightshade, Colorado's premier dispensary, has got a solution for you, and it's Wana. No matter when you take them, Wana Optimal's Fast Asleep Gummies will leave you feeling rested and refreshed in the morning. That over-the-counter stuff is going to knock you out with such powerful drugs that leave you in a fog, and you don't want that. Wana's carefully calibrated formula contains 10 milligrams of CBD and just a hint of THC that will get the eyelids feeling heavy in just about 5 to 15 minutes. And in 0 minutes, you can order Wana Optimal's Fast Asleep Gummies at lightshade.com and get 25% off with code DNVR. Use code DNVR at any of Lightshade's 10 Denver metro area locations. Julian, let's get to the Rockies business. That's how you are famous in this region. No photographs, no stitches, none of that stuff. Man, you had a 10-year run, and a lot of people still wish it was going on because you elevated the brand of at Rockies. You were the brand manager. That comes with a lot of weight, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. I'm always going to be grateful to the Rockies for believing in me and taking a chance on me. And I'm really proud of the work that we did over the course of a decade plus, but everything is in good hands. I'm excited about being a fan and watching from this side, but very, very fond memories from my time there.
That's definitely something that's the legacy of Julian, is that there's always good people coming in. You've worked with so many of them, kind of passed the torch down. And so you set the bar high. And so they're definitely keeping that up there.
Definitely. It's like I said, it's fun to watch. Erin Hodges from the social team texted me. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just going to go on here and just rip you to shreds. Corey Little's texting me right now. So, so many great friends that are still there. They're actually, having a little happy hour for me and a couple other people. So, it's family. You always want to leave on good terms. And, I left for personal family reasons, and because I have, somewhere else that I wanted to be and invest myself with the company I'm at now. And I love what I'm doing. So, it was just kind of time to move on after such a long ride. But like I said, I'm really proud of the work that we did over my time there.
For so many people, they live vicariously through the Rockies, and their experience of the Rockies is on Twitter in so many ways. And obviously, helping run that account. But for you have actual real experiences of being there. Could you just off the top of your head run through the top 50 greatest memories that you have? Because I'm sure there's probably more than that. But what are the ones that come right off the top of, like, man, I was there for this and I love this moment?
Yeah, the one that will always stick out was the wild card game against the Cubs. Just the way that game went, the tension. We were running back and forth from the clubhouse to the press box a few times because of the flow of the game. That was really incredible to be a part of. Todd Helton's jersey retirement was a really cool thing to be a part of, and kind of driving the messaging surrounding that. The reason I'm here today, by no means, and 0% of the credit for Larry Walker being in the Hall of Fame goes to the work that we did. Larry was a Hall of Famer, should have been in long before he was in, but just the way that the online community in Colorado and outside of Colorado really rallied around that cause, and being a part of that was really cool. That's ultimately what marketing is, right? It's trying to convince action from people who might not be doing something otherwise, and to convince old curmudgeon writers who don't believe that Coors can have a Hall of Famer, and then convincing them that they should give their vote to Larry Walker. Like that's pretty cool stuff. So that was really cool to be a part of. Just there's so much that went into it, but I think when you take away all the specific moments, just the relationships that I have and forged during my time there, obviously with the front office and the people I worked with day in and day out, but especially with the players and the coaches who were always so good to me and my family, and people that I'll keep in touch with forever. That was really cool. And actually, one more thing, I'm rambling now. I'm really proud of the work that we did during kind of the scariest and most unknown times in the COVID period, because, nobody really knew what to do or say or what was going to happen. And it was before the world just kind of spun out of control and everybody lost their damn minds with this stuff on both sides of the argument when it comes to that. And it was just like a really unifying force that we were able to provide. And whether it was driving down to Pueblo to get T-shirts to people to make masks, or some of the things we did to activate the community or support small businesses. We did that stay-at-home opener, if you remember, which was like the best of opening day. It was just a lot of really fun stuff, but things that really mattered, and I think provided people with something that they could believe in and make them happy in a really scary time.
Yeah, you absolutely had to be creative, because normally there's 162 games on the docket, and so that right there is the content that you can use for days and days on end. But we didn't have that in March of 2020 and for several months to the season. So, yeah, I applaud all the work that you guys were able to do in creating that content, giving people some positive distraction. Since you were with the Rockies for that decade, really up until the time Walker got in, you got to see him go from, new guy on the ballot, maybe barely sticking around, barely getting a lot of notoriety, and not being a part of the conversation, like you said, saying, but it's the Rockies, it's Coors Field, so immediately let's just forget this person. You got to see it from that stage all the way up to getting the 76% that he needed on January 21st, 2020. How amazing was that each and every year to go, all right, my hope is building, and I don't want to be disappointed, but my hope is building.
Yeah, that was really cool. And when you look back at the voting totals, there were a couple years, like the second or third year, where it was pretty low, and like he was honestly like pretty close to falling off the ballot altogether. And then somewhere along the line, something kind of turned. It might have been, Edgar Martinez kind of picking up steam, and those, the analytical discussions taking more of a center stage. So it was something that we in the offseason really looked forward to. I'm excited to see the club do the same with Todd, because I think he's going to have that same type of building campaign that's going to make sense in the future. But yeah, I just remember that day sitting in the office and, just being so excited. Warren Miller, longtime communications director, is just a dear friend and mentor of mine. He was in the airport getting ready to go to New York, not knowing if he was going to turn around and come back, because we weren't sure if Larry was going to make it. So there was just, I mentioned Corey earlier and Jill Campbell, of course. There were just so many people who played a key role in that at the Rockies, but in the community as well. So yeah, super cool to see it build. And just like I said, it shouldn't have taken that long, but if it did, if nothing else, the climax at the end was even more exciting.
I think people might be somewhat surprised to know, maybe not, depending on how much they would pour over their Rockies magazine. But, you help put that together as well, too. And that's this lasting monument or a lasting legacy where, again, on Twitter, we know this stuff can live forever. Even if you delete a tweet, it will go on and on. What is that? No one does that. But the Rockies magazine, that chronicles the history of the franchise, and plenty of people will subscribe to it and get the magazine monthly and keep it on their shelves, and they'll go back and look through there. Were there any particular stories that you were, I know you're proud of all the work that you did, but are there any pieces that were particularly fun to research or to work with some of the various authors that have contributed to Rockies magazine over the years?
Yeah, so I pulled this here. So this stack right here, that's all the magazines that I'd worked on. So I don't know how many are there. But,
wow.
The point you made is a really smart one, because in today's digital world, so much of what we do is, you produce something and it lives in an NFT or, online somewhere, but there's just something cool and special and different about having a tangible, hard product at the end of a cycle of hard work. So when we'd make the magazine, it would be like a full month of just like grinding away at it. We produced it entirely in-house, but I'm really proud to have those like books on the shelf there. So I was an English major in college. I love writing. I love storytelling. Twitter and social media is kind of like little mini, structured writing pieces. Like every time you put something out, there's a lot of science and art behind it. And I don't think people always understand really what it is to do social media. It's easy to play on social media, but to have a strategy behind it and to really be successful is difficult. And it's a learned skill, but there's also a lot of things that you have to have inherent inside of you to be successful. So the digital writing is one thing, but to be able to kind of let loose and write a 2,500 word feature and dive into storytelling is something that I've always loved, and I'm glad to have that. Specific stories that come to mind. One of the most recent, one of my last stories for the Rockies was about Connor Joe. And, I wrote it to tell his story about, coming back from testicular cancer, and also just his, his heritage. We did it surrounding, some of the stuff that was going on to Asian Americans in our country. And he wanted to be an advocate for, sharing his story and his pride and his heritage. So I was really honored to tell his story, and I was really happy with how that came out. Boy, I'd have to go look back through there, but that one comes to mind. Maybe it's because it's the most recent, but I love that. And, I still do quite a bit of writing in my job today, and storytelling and hyping up athletes and talking about what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm very excited to dive into everything that you're doing at Open Doors. Do need to tell people that over at Ball Aerospace and Technology, they're doing great things too. Their manufacturing plant in Golden is hiring production technicians at $27 an hour. You got potential increases at 6, 12, and 18 months on the job. You get comprehensive insurance, active the day of hire, 401k for retirement, stock purchase ownership program, and even potential for annual bonus. So many great benefits for working for an awesome company like Ball. All you got to do is text Golden to 77222 to get linked to their open positions. You can also go directly to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden. You can take your hard-earned paycheck over to Chevalier Mortgage, because they're going to help you with their home expertise and support Their ultimate goal at Chevalier Mortgage is to take the stress out of buying and refinancing. We're getting into that season. Believe it or not, winter, we're still in the thick of it. But you know what? Now's the time to start thinking and planning your next move. Chevalier Mortgage strives to give their borrowers options with their full financial picture in mind, with the highest level of integrity. They always put you, the borrower, first. Even if you already own a home, keep in mind with prices going up, there's natural equity in your home. So if you've got mortgage insurance, chances are you can refinance out of that and make the bubble work for you. They've got a fun perk right now for DNVR listeners. Just visit them at DNVRmortgage.com and enter to win a free DNVR shirt or hat of your choice. When you do, most importantly, you want to get set up with a free, that's right, free consultation to discuss all your options with Virginia. Go to DNVRmortgage.com or call her directly at 303-257-6578. Michael Chevalier, NMLS number 1931006. Virginia Chevalier, NMLS number 1910631. Well, Julian,
Dude, you're crushing the reads. Man, I would stumble on those reads like crazy, and you're just flowing, baby. Those are awesome too.
The trick is you get it tattooed on the inside of your eyelid, so it really looks seamless.
That's the way to do it.
It's a little insider tip.
Hey, can I address this? Josh Larson had a question. First of all, I'm pumped that like somebody other than my mom is on this, so that's cool. Yeah, the percentage the lockout gets resolved, that is not my thing, but that's, along with Larry, I'm pretty sure that I'm only here because there's no like actual news to be reporting on. So
not true, but go ahead.
No, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Just shout out Josh for listening. Shout out my mom, who's probably listening. And yeah, Corey, I know, is listening too.
Yeah, I think he's just spying on me. He's just making sure I don't say anything slanderous.
Corey. No, you can say whatever you want. I'll fight Corey if we need to.
Josh, there's 100% chance it gets resolved. Does it get resolved in time where maybe we don't miss out on opening day? That remains to be seen. We may lose a couple spring training games, but ultimately, look, everybody loses, players and ownership, if we happen to miss out on games, or we miss out on substantial period of time. So no one really wants that to happen. What they do want is to know about some of your inside experience. You work so close with the players. Like, there might not be always those big events, Helton's retirement, Walker getting into the Hall of Fame, the run to Rocktober in 17 and 18, the big win at Wrigley. But it's those day-to-day moments working with players who, maybe just who's the funniest guy, or who do you enjoy being around the most, that when you knew, okay, let's see who's on the schedule today. I got so-and-so. This is going to be a good day. This is going to be a good day.
Yeah, I'm always asked, like, who are my favorite players to work with, and I've got a long list just because I'd been there for a while, and honestly, like, the Rockies have so many like quality individuals, good dudes, that it is really hard to pick. But I mean, at the top of the list for me has to be Charlie Blackman. He kind of came up at the same time as I did, and we worked together for a really long time, and just it's always weird because when you work on the team side in a communications or content type of role, like, you're not a friend necessarily, but it's important to have really strong relationships. So I was proud of the way I kind of balanced that, gaining the trust, being able to do good work for the club and for the fans, without, crossing that line. So, Charlie comes to mind in terms of favorites, Scott Oberg, DJ, Nolan's like a, brother that you argue with sometimes, but at the end of the day, you hug it out and that kind of stuff. Boy, I'm going to forget so many people, so I'll probably stop there. John Gray. But yeah, funniest person was your question.
Yeah.
It's got to be Para. Para just had a way to, everybody gravitated toward Para, and he was just such an important part of those teams. Even if he wasn't playing, he just had the right attitude. He came in, brought people together. The fact that he was bilingual was huge for kind of connecting all the different sides of the clubhouse. And I think, with the Nationals, that proved to be a huge differentiating factor for them with that World Series run. And
everything about him is, like you said, positive and fun and free-spirited, all the way down to his transportation to get to the ballpark. He'd had his own little scooter that he would come in on and run over people's feet. And it was great. He right. Definitely, you're right, was that linchpin in the clubhouse to help keep things loose. What about smartest?
Shout out Cargo. Man, you got me. I'll probably put out a list or something just because I'm going to get somebody.
Yeah, well, look, because you technically have some hosting experience here. We'll get you set up, and you'll just have an hour of just going through your own memories on your time and your favorite players.
No. That'd be a little self-indulgent. It's always about the players. Social digital is weird because like ultimately you're behind the scenes person, and your job is to tell stories for the organization and for the players. But there's also some sense of recognition that there is a human being behind the account. So it's a weird balance that you really have to walk the fine line. And I always felt like I did a pretty good job of that. And but yeah, it's not about you. It's not the at Rockies show. It's the team, and it's about the players. So I always try to keep that in mind.
We had a recent guest on here, Manny Randall of MLB.com, who said some very controversial things, and so I've got to put it on you now. How do you spell tacos? This is your moment. How do you spell tacos, Julian? Go ahead.
There's an apostrophe in there for sure.
Okay, good.
TACO''S.
Thank you for setting the record straight. We do appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's get to what you're doing these days. You're still working with athletes. You're the head of brand and athlete marketing of Open Doors. Tell people a little bit about, what that is. I mean, granted, you work with over 50,000 plus athletes, 2,000 organizations, sports agents. Your company has a reach of over 2 billion in followers for your athletes. So you're doing huge things. For anyone who doesn't know about Open Doors, please let them know what you're doing these days.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to put Open Doors in a compact box about what we do is, we essentially help athletes build and monetize their NIL value. And when you think about the NIL space right now, which is, it's been around forever, but it's new to college sports. It's essentially athletes being able to monetize their name, image, and likeness, meaning do endorsement deals and just be able to make some money on the side for who they are. But we have solutions for education. We have solutions for compliance, which is, of course, a critical part of this. We have solutions for content. And then most importantly, we have, the best marketplace in the industry so that brands like, the DNV bar or Breckenridge Brewery, if it's legal in your state, you can do deals with college athletes now through our platform.
Yeah, we've got our deals with David Roddy of CSU, the McBride brothers also at CSU, the Hammer, Nate up there at CU Boulder. Yep. So yeah, we're getting in on that action, and yeah, like you said, you guys are on the cutting edge of this, because I know just in the past year, I think in June, you guys had announced a partnership with Twitter to allow student athletes to monetize their videos as well.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. I mean, just the reality is there's been 100 marketplaces pop up in the last 16 months. There's been all these companies trying to be opportunistic and, find a way to get in this space. But what I love about Open Doors and why I'm here is that we've been doing this for a decade, different parts of this industry. So the track record is there. Our staff is amazing. I love the people I work with, and I believe in the work that we're doing. Specifically being a former athlete myself, having perspectives that can help, grow our brand and connect with athletes and create some credibility toward what we're doing. And again, instead of one of these companies that are just trying to get in on the conversation. So I love it. I love what I'm doing. I this is my home office, so the flexibility and the the personal nature of what it's been able to provide for my family has been fantastic. And I'm just excited to be a part of this movement and being able to have athletes, monetize what they always should have been able to.
So you can either work from home or have a 4-hour round trip to Nebraska. Were those the options?
No, it's nice to be able to have the home office for sure. But I like Lincoln. Lincoln's a cool little college town, and go there a couple times a year and, visit our partners and, some of the athletes that we serve around the country. I enjoy doing that as well.
Yeah, as you said, you guys have been around for a long time. You're not new to the game, just trying to cash in on it. And the proof is in some of the things you guys have on your website. Like there's a blog where there's a lot of really helpful things for young people who might not even be in college yet. They maybe are working on their brand as high schoolers. We have a lot of young people. Liam is a member that we have at DNVR. We'll give Liam a nice little shout out, and helpful articles like what is an NIL contract, 6 things to watch for. So you've got that going on opendoors.com, and the 4 tenets that you guys provide for your athletes. the one I love the most is the protection piece, right? Is Open Doors Monitor, because you might want to cash in on it and know your value, but there's also, you need to protect yourself both, financially, your image, as well as just the physical aspect of being an athlete.
Well, absolutely. And there's a lot of rules and compliance associated with this right now, and always moving forward. Like if you want to do it right and stay on the field, and there's a lot of rules, and keeping your compliance office in order, making sure they know what's happening. NCAA has, they've been a little laissez-faire in terms of their regulations, but they have some key things that are required, which is no pay for play, no recruiting inducement. So there's a specific set of rules that have to be followed, and we have solutions to make sure that athletes are staying safe as they go into this new world.
And correct me if I'm wrong, people can go ahead, young student athletes can go ahead and sign up and get some more information on your site about the different things that you guys are providing at opendoors.com. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Athletes sign up, see what's out there for you. And on the brand side as well, it works both ways. It is truly a marketplace where we're just trying to get some connections going so that athletes can connect with brands that want to work with them. So, yep, absolutely. Athletes go on, set up a profile, put your information out there. And, we also have an opportunities function where brands will build an offer and athletes can apply for that. And then the brand then can review and then choose who they'd like to work with for a deal. So there's several different functions and ways that people can get involved in the NIL space. And it's just crazy because like the whole generation before, it was like, do not take money, do not do anything, you'll jeopardize your eligibility. And then on July 1st, a light switch flipped, and then all of a sudden it's not only permitted but encouraged, and it's a huge benefit and opportunity for schools who are forward thinking and are willing to invest and do this the right way. So yep, it's for everybody. Open Doors exists for athletes, and that's what we're all about.
Was that frustrating when you were a player, that idea that you know what NCAA is doing, and it's a delicate balance, but like you said, it was very black and white, where you had to be very careful and very cautious, and now it's obviously it's different in that way, but how frustrating was that period of time, the dark ages, if you will?
It was, I wouldn't say it was frustrating for me, but I look at what opportunities are available now for student athletes compared to when I was in school 15 years ago. And I would have loved doing this, whether it's, working with somebody like you guys, because I was always interested in media and production, or just aligning myself with brands that fit with who I am and the image that I wanted to have. Everybody can be an entrepreneur, and they're able to make their own decisions and ability to, just take control of their own lives. So it's not something that I ever really thought about in that moment, but now looking back with a little bit more perspective, it definitely would have been cool.
And what's one quick little takeaway that for student athletes that are out there, again, whether they're in high school or even in middle school, and they're just looking ahead because they know that they have athletics in their future, what's something that they can do to really help themselves, at least now, before they take that next leap?
In terms of athletics, or just from a brand building perspective?
Either one, because obviously you have to be able to do it successfully in order to have those opportunities financially with NIL.
Right. I would say first and foremost, focus on your sport, your craft. That's what is really going to set you apart, but, and give you those opportunities. But what's going to set you apart is your personality, the things that you're interested in. And I always say that like social media is your resume. Whether it's like an actual business setting and you're applying for jobs, and first thing they'll do is they'll look at your Instagram account or your Twitter account or find you on TikTok. So make sure that everything you put out there publicly is exactly how you want to be portrayed and how you want to, present yourself as a human being. So just being mindful of that, because I think a lot of, you mentioned high school athletes, they don't necessarily think about social media in that way. It's, I'm making fun videos, or I'm talking to my friends, or whatever the case may be. But it really is important to think bigger about what your social media platforms are and what they can do for you. So, to put it very quickly, like that's how I would say. But we've got a lot of more in-depth educational effort, offerings that get into that a little bit more. But that would be the first thing I'd say, is just be thoughtful of that.
Julian, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on, and everyone has been enjoying seeing you again. They miss seeing you down at the ballpark. You have to let people know when you're coming to a game at Coors Field. Bring some cupcakes and cookies, and
There you go.
Spread the love. And take one final second to throw a jab at our friend Corey Little.
No jabs at Corey. Corey's
the best.
He's a special person, and
he's awesome.
glad to call him a friend.
He is. Yeah, same. He's great. This has been fantastic. Again, opendoors.com. Make sure you're going over there to check that out to learn a little bit more about NILs and everything that Julian is doing these days. You can follow him at Julian Valentin, exactly as it's spelled. I'm at Patrick D. Lyons, and all the great content we're providing at the DNVR.com. Now only 50 cents for your first month. You can follow that as well on Twitter at DNVR_Rockies. So for DNVR Sports, he's Julian Valentin. I'm Patrick Lyons. And you know what they say about momentum? It's only as good as tomorrow's podcast. So we'll talk to you then.